Welcome to another game in the Brighouse Open, and after a very poor start, I was near the bottom end again on 1 out of 3, playing as Black v Barry Wadsworth, who was on 0 out of 3, but did have a decent ish grade of 137, so another underachiever it seems. I had the dreaded black, he played E4, so you know what that means, French defence time, and he played F4, which is a sideline which I really do dislike playing against. Because basically I sort of know a few basic plans, but it's very out of book and it's hard to play against. D5, and usually they play E5, but he played E takes D5, so actually maybe the best response is to maybe offer this as a gambit and play Nf6. After D takes E6, bishop takes E6 to try and make this F4 move bad. And black has a development advantage in return for their pawn. My good friend Houdini thinks I've got enough compensation as well. But I played E takes D5, so now we've got an exchange French of F4 I did, which although shouldn't be that good, it sets new problems, and it might be quite good actually, this Stonewall type formation, because in the exchange French, white often tries to get a knight to E5, and these pawns are going to support it. Nf3 Bd6. I just did my usual setup, which maybe isn't so great. Now challenging the strong bishop. F6 just to keep a knight off E5, but it does weaken E6 if I'm not careful. And I played knight H4, which puts the knight on the rim, but does force me to take in D3, but this is fine. That's what I want to do. And black's fine in this position. Knight B3, trying to get into C5, I just ignored it and played Queen G4. Trying to get pieces aggressively towards white's king, maybe G5 next and hack attack. Also attacks the knight. And he played Queen G3. Maybe not the best because now I could give him double pawns and taking the queen off. Maybe just knight F3 was better and made his mistake. But if they've still got a good position, maybe knight G6. Can I play bishop takes F4? No, it's not so great actually this, because my queen gets on the same line as the rook, and knight C5 seems to give white good compensation. So maybe just knight G6 with a good position. Queen G3 was played, so I took it. H takes G3. Give white some structural damage. Rook Hf8. Bishop D2. Bring the rook to open file. Keep the knight. Now King H2. And this is where I got excited, because I thought I had plans of trying to spot the king on the MH file. Played knight G6, good move. Played F takes G5, H takes G5, Rook F2, which is a blunder, which I failed to punish by surprise. Well, it's not actually a blunder, but it's pretty bad. So I thought I could win the pawn on G3, but I forced for some reason this position. The best move is knight C7, bring more pieces across, stop a rook swap, and knight F5 to G3 looks pretty devastating. I also rook H8 check as well. I thought King G1, I thought does this win G3 or not? Oh, bishop takes G3, so to take, I was skewered. Then rook F1 and rook E2 with a great position. Now I'd seen this, but I thought I'll take the rook off first. But the problem with rook takes E1 is that after knight takes E1, I've blown most of my advantage, because after the rook check, King G1, I played another bad move, bishop takes G3, and I missed that rook takes F6 can be played. And now this is just now turning white's favour now, because this G pawn is very weak. My white's rook has got very active. I played knight F4 after some thought, expecting him just to give the bishop up, which is actually the best move. And then I thought after this I don't have to worry about this pawn as much. But it does have knight D3. Then I can play rook E8. So if he ever takes an F4 then with a knight, then rook E1 is going to be checkmate. Then he's got knight D2. Rook E2, active play. Played knight F3. I played knight H5. Then he played rook G6. And after knight E7, rook takes g5, I've just dropped an important pawn. Not good, looks like 1 out of 4 is going to be coming. I played bishop f4, which is a blunder. Luckily he just played bishop takes f4. He could have played takes h5, because now my rook's hanging, so I have to take it back, and then he takes his bishop, and white has got 2 pieces and a pawn for a rook, which is a decisive advantage. I got a bit lucky. Bd2, Eg6, g4. See, these knights, although they're protecting each other, they're potentially very vulnerable. And the only move actually in this position actually to not have a serious disadvantage is to play rook h6, but I played rook e8 instead. And now g3 is very problematic that he didn't play. Oops, I forgot. So I've got to play this check. I'm going to lose the knight in g6. I think that's why I played rook e8, but king f2. My knight has to go back to f8 and after knight b3. White has a very good position. Now I played knight e5. Actually, it's not a good move, and this is where it gets really exciting. I played knight takes e5. Because now, if he'd have played d takes e5, I can play this check and then win the pawn back. If he plays rook takes f4 like in the game, I have knight d3, for king b2 and f4. The only problem is that he's after rook f5, I played rook e2 to get rook to the 7th tempo, and after knight f3, I played c6 because them pawns aren't going anywhere on the queen side. But the problem is now his g pawn becomes a runner after g4. I calculated I can just get away with taking the pawn. I took it with the knight so I can get the rook back quicker. g5, it sounds not very dangerous, but I've won my pawn back. g7, g6, and now I blocked it with g7. But I'm 95 and this is starting to look very dangerous. In fact, the only move that doesn't lose on the spot is I have to bring the king across, otherwise rook f8 checks decisive, so I have to play king d8 after rook check, and I have king e7 just in time to stop the pawn. After rook b8, I play king f6, and now the position is a forced draw. Unless, well actually, I can try king g5 if I want to avoid the draw, essentially. But after rook f7, king h6, rook f6, and then bring the knight back, which I didn't see. I thought I had to take a draw, but actually he didn't want to draw. He played rook h8 this position. Actually that's bad because I played knight c4, and I'm getting rid of that knight. After rook f8 check, king e7, rook b8, I took the knight. After d takes c5, I played rook takes g6 check with check, so we can't take on b7, and then b5. And that next thing I'm a pawn up, it seems. I do it, and this is where I stopped recording due to time shortage. Eventually we got to another draw position actually. This one actually was sort of draw because I couldn't really get my king in, but the blunting allowed me to get to a connected pass pawn in the 6th rank. And I also managed to get a winning king pawn endgame, which I avoided traps and managed to win it. It was king and 2 v king and 1. And I had to avoid taking the pawn, somehow it'd be a draw, and then I managed to win the other pawn. He resigned, thankfully, so I didn't have much time. But it was an interesting game anyway, a bit lucky to win. But I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.